Brian from Apex Detail, and today I have Ram from Geist. Since I'm in the auto detailing industry, automotive seats are going to be what we're going to talk about today. What do you have available for? I have a percentage of my channel that is DIY. I have a percentage that is also professional. How can you help me?
So we've got, we specialize in leather care, leather repair, and leather restoration. And we've done with our product ranges, we've taken a modern and sort of a simplistic view on leather care. And we've got right from products from cleaning leather, a sealant to protect leather and prevent sort of dye transfer and friction damage. That's a sealant, a 6-month sealant that we've got. So we've got that, we've got conditioners, but we've also got a whole range of repair and restoration items aimed at the DIY end user, someone who just wants to buy it, do it themselves on their own car or a project car that they're working on, or for the professional who is a business and wants to start offering leather repair and leather restoration as a service. We offer training for them as well.
That's excellent. So they can help not only myself and those with shops or that are mobile professional detailers. They can certainly stock us fully. They can take care of you guys, taking care of your car at home, in your driveway, in your garage. And when it comes to leather care, let's go over just a broad range of your detailing products that you have available that can assist my audience.
Sure. So when it comes to leather, leather is obviously a natural material, a very durable material, right? And when we've got products designed based on the age of the leather, right? So a brand new piece of leather upholstery would need to be treated and cared for and protected slightly differently to something that is slightly older than that, right? So an older seat that's probably an older leather seat, genuine leather seat that is dried out will require a conditioner, because what keeps leather soft is a balance of moisture and oil, and that balance of moisture and oil is intact on a brand new leather, and that's why we don't recommend you apply a conditioner of any sort to brand new leather, because it's not going to provide any real benefit, right? But what brand new leather needs is protection against two main aspects. One being dye transfer, which is dye from unfixed and loose dyes from clothing, especially jeans, denim, and things like that transfer onto ivory, cream, light colored leathers. That's a very, very common problem, especially with the new age car seats. So that is one, and obviously friction damage. So friction and abrasion, as you get in and out of that car, right? You're scuffing that bolster, quite likely causing the top coat on the surface to erode, and eventually you're going to start going through the paint layer and start, affecting that. So that's where you need protection on a brand new car, and our research says that for the first 3 years, that's all you need, right? So of course we have a cleaner, we have a plant and algae-based leather cleaner, which is perfectly safe. It's pH
safe
balanced.
For the user, safe for the environment.
Safe for the user, safe for the environment. I think that's one of the big things that we wanted to make an impact with, because what's happened in the last few years is there's all of a sudden there's a whole new range of detergents that are available on the market, right? And a lot of them are derived from plant and algae, and when you actually try them, the cleaning power that these things offer, while there is a perception about plant-based products perhaps in the market where people think they're not as strong or not as good, that's so far away from the truth that when you actually start using them, the way they perform, you probably won't even be able to tell the difference, right? And the other advantage we've got is the cleaner, right? Which is the rapid leather and vinyl cleaner, which is a plant and algae-based leather cleaner. With this one, you can spray that onto the leather, right, and leave it.
It's solely a cleaner. So it's not
solely
a cleaner and protectant. So
no, it's solely a cleaner. But the advantage being that you can actually leave it on the surface, right? Spray it, on the surface and just leave it, allow it, because it's got the way it's different to some of the other cleaners in the market is that this has soil lifting properties, right? And I think if I was to explain that, if you were to just look at dishwashing liquid, just standard dishwashing liquid that people use to wash their dishes, that is designed to push dirt down, right? Whereas this here lifts the soiling, so it almost causes the soiling to go loose and lifts it up. All you've got to do is give it time, right? And that's the thing with plant-based products. You spray it on and you leave it for about 5 minutes, go have a cup of coffee, come back and then start scrubbing it with a brush if you need to, and then wipe off residue, and that's not going to damage leather at all. However, I'd always suggest people do a test area first, just to make sure that, you know, you don't have the top coat's not eroded or anything like
Right,
that.
and that breaks us into a great segment. We're going to demonstrate the cleaner and protectant here shortly for you. Before we get into that, you did mention a few times newer leather, older leather, and top coats. A lot of the audience doesn't understand a lot of the modern leather has a top coat protective layer compared to older leather that is on its own, for lack of a better word. So how would you approach those two different?
So automotive leather predominantly, if we were to look at the history of automotive leather, 1970s, you had a lot of vinyl, right? Then there was a switch to genuine leather, and all of that genuine leather that was being used, even today, right, that's all top coated leather, right? So it has a layer of primer, paint, and top coat, just like car
Just
bodywear,
like your car's finish.
right? And that is what you're dealing. So when you're actually cleaning leather, you're only affecting the top coat, right? And that's what you're cleaning. But of course, as leather starts aging, right, it starts becoming more receptive to a conditioner, right? So in our research, the first 3 years, you applying a leather conditioner to genuine leather is just not going to provide any added benefit. It's not going to cause any harm, but it's also not going to provide any benefit, right?
More than likely, it'll sit on top of the top coat until it transfers onto your clothing.
Yeah, I mean, some of it, let's say, will penetrate, some vapors will go in, but not a lot, right? And it's not going to make it softer, make it any better, because that leather is fresh out of the tannery, that balance of moisture and oil is intact, it's good. You don't really need to improve that just yet, right? But that's where in the first 3 years, it's paramount that car seats are protected against dye transfer and friction, right? And that's why we've got this product called the dye and friction blocker, which is a sealant, right? It's a 6-month sealant, basically. It protects. It's an easy to apply sealant, right? It's very easy to apply. You literally spray it on a microfiber. Once you've cleaned the leather, you apply it using a microfiber, spray it on, wipe it, and just let it flash off on its own. It'll take about 5 minutes, and once that's done, you can just reapply it
For maintenance,
if needed.
just
For
using the
maintenance,
same
yes. For the first 3 years, that is all I'd recommend, right? And that is suitable for genuine leather, but also vinyl or PVC or artificial leather.
Okay, let's talk about a vehicle that hasn't been cleaned and let's say looked after for years, and it has a buildup of dirt and grime, and also when you have it finally cleaned up, it needs a bit of protection. What would the process be? What would the
Right. Okay, so we're now talking about, we've spoken about new cars, we're now talking about older cars, right? Older cars, that is where I would recommend, if it's genuine leather, I would recommend you applying a leather conditioner. So obviously step 1 is going to be clean, so you'd still go through your cleaning process. And once you've cleaned, you would then apply a leather conditioner, right? And what the leather conditioner does is maintains the oil and moisture balance inside leather, which stops it, which keeps it flexible, prevents sort of the leather prevents the leather from shrinkage, keeps the elasticity in leather, right? And that is important, especially in a lot of hot areas where shrinkage is a problem. It's obviously not noticeable because it doesn't happen overnight, but you would, if left untreated over time, shrinkage and loss of elasticity and flexibility can be an issue with leather.
Absolutely. In older cars, if you've noticed, if it hasn't been cared for, the shrinkage, you can see stressing the stitches.
Yes,
pulling them apart.
absolutely. So clean, apply the conditioner. I would recommend leave it overnight. Allow the conditioner to penetrate overnight if you
Okay,
can.
so overnight, 5 to 10 minutes for the sealant, overnight for the
Yes,
conditioner.
if you can, right? If you just genuinely haven't got the time, let it penetrate for a few hours at least. That's where you're genuinely going to see the benefit. There is going to be some residue left on the surface. Get rid of that and then apply the sealant on top.
Well, it's definitely a go world, and it's glad to hear that it's not like a coating where you need to cure 24 hours, 48 hours.
No.
Just a few minutes of your time, and
Yeah,
take care of
yeah,
the
and these are all water-based, and especially with the dye and friction blocker, which is a sealant, we've made a conscious effort to not use products or ingredients that have forever chemicals. So there's no forever chemicals, and what I mean by forever chemicals is things that there's a lot of stain-proofing products out on the market today that provide excellent stain repellents, but because they have certain ingredients in there that are classed as forever chemicals, and these forever chemicals are called forever chemicals because once they're released into the environment, they practically never break down, right? So we've developed a product which I believe is a true innovation because it provides that same level of performance in terms of stain repellents, but does not contain any of the nasties.
Well, we have the products to get the work done. We need something for agitation. So I see behind us we have a brush. If you want to kind of explain here, we will demonstrate with this one as well. The bristles are like a medium. They have give to them, but they have enough stiffness for agitation in between perforated, textured leather.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're synthetic bristles, obviously real wooden handle, which offers a good grip. I think it's a decent size as well, but synthetic bristles are great for cleaning, right? So I wouldn't, if you want to clean something, I wouldn't use a brush which has natural hair, just because natural hair is great for polishing shoes, right, to get in that shine. But when you want to clean, that's not what you're looking for.
Right.
You want something that cleans.
You don't want to go the other end of the spectrum and have stiff,
extremely stiff. No, because that then could, affect the surface. So I think this has the nice balance. I would always spray the cleaner on here and then start cleaning, right? And that's why we've also got, so the combination of these 4 products you see here are built in to these 2 kits, which is the 3 minus and the 3 plus, right? The reason why we've called it the 3 minus and the 3 plus is just, as I said earlier, in our research, 3 years is that sweet spot and that cut-off point where we say you can now start applying a conditioner to genuine leather.
And then when you get to the 3+ years, you have a kit that can help you out with the older.
Yeah, so the 3 plus has the cleaner, the conditioner, and the blocker, whereas the 3 minus just has the cleaner and the blocker.
Excellent.
Right, because that's all you need in the first 3 years. But if you've got vegan leather, artificial leather, then just use the 3 minus, in my opinion, because artificial leather does not have any pores, so it does not need a conditioner, right? Just apply the cleaner and the sealant, the blocker, and that will be enough.
Excellent. I will definitely be adding these to my arsenal. Well, we will do a short demonstration for you. Before we do, I can tell you the kits take the guesswork out of it. You don't have a table full of a product that does this, a product that does that. It's all simple, it's easy to use, and I highly recommend. Before we get into the demonstration, customers lately, with the newer cars that they bring in, when they want protection for interior, especially leather, they emphasize on not changing the scent or the odor of the interior.
Yeah.
What can you add when it comes to the product line? Will it detract from that natural leather smell? Will it keep it neutral?
So our products have no scent, right? We've made a conscious effort to not add any scent because I think the majority of customers prefer it that way. They don't want to apply a product that has a particular scent. Obviously, there is going to be a subset of people who like to have a leather conditioner that adds a leather smell, but smell is such a personal thing. I feel that something that I like, you will absolutely detest and hate. So that's the reason why we've just kept things neutral.
Yeah, we have some customers that are very sensitive to chemicals, and this would be perfect. All right, we're going to take care of this leather seat for you right here. With any type of detailing product, I always recommend, even if they say they're safe, to wear some type of protective gear for your eyes, for your skin, so there isn't absorption of the chemical. But these are safe to work with. I mean,
these are absolutely safe to work with, but look, it's detergent. I would always say it's good practice. Just put some gloves on.
Long-term use, if you're working with them day in and day out, protect yourself. Now, is it best to spray directly onto the microfiber or onto the leather itself?
So, depends on the level of clean you want. These products are safe to spray on leather directly, right? But that always would depend on how much top coat there is on the surface. So I'd always say, if you want to spray it directly, just do a little test spot. Make sure it's not removing any paint or you're not getting any sort of adverse reaction to it.
Always check to see if there's transfer of dye. And if you do run into that, that is an indication of repair most of the time.
Well, not always, because it could either mean that it had been repaired before, it could also mean that because it's just friction and abrasion, there's probably no top coat left on there anymore.
Great point.
So there's so many different variations, right? Because there is a tendency where when people are cleaning it, if they see dye come off, they say, oh, this has been dyed before. That's not always true, right?
You made a great point. The top coat is
the top coat's gone. You are going to pull paint off, even just with
how much of the product would you recommend?
So I am a fan of the brush. I absolutely love cleaning with the brush. If I was to do it, I'd go, onto. So you've got the product has a little cap on here. So if you just want a fine mist of the product directly on the surface, you could just do that, right? Or if you want a little foam action going on, then I'd say just spray, right? So that's some foam there, and you could then start cleaning away, right? And you'll get plenty of.
And then when you're finished rubbing and agitating, you just simply mop it up. Is there a flushing process or?
No, literally just wipe it off. I would say with plant-based products, if you really want a stronger clean, like if you've got something that's really hasn't been cleaned in a while and you really want to clean it, then I'd say give it some dwell time, right? Because it has those soil lifting properties that we spoke about earlier, right? That only happens when you give the product time. So if you give it a 2 minutes, 3 minutes, right? Whatever time you can give it, it would just massively help. But you don't have to, right? If you feel comfortable just cleaning, or you feel that you've gone with a brush and that's cleaned it enough, then you don't have to give it that dwell time either.
And if you look here, we have sections of the seat that are perforated and a little bit textured.
Yeah.
So the brush would be great there, and then this is a little
Fairly
bit more
smooth,
of a
yeah.
So a microfiber would be perfectly fine for that. And this is simply how you prepare for protection.
Yes.
With the cleaning process just about completed, every once in a while you'll run across areas like this. Maybe something was laying on the seat or stacked upon it. And you have ways to easily fix that issue.
Yeah, so most of the times the easiest way to get rid of these is just use a bit of heat. So use a heat gun or a hairdryer or whatever, just to heat the leather up ever so slightly. And what happens when you heat up, if it's genuine leather, it basically makes the fibers very flexible, right? And you can then just gently massage it, right? And maneuver it back to the sort of place and the shape where it needs to be, right? I mean, we've not heated the leather here. I'm just massaging it, right?
And just doing that
just
is
there
doing a great
is already helping it. But if you were to heat this and then cool it down, that'll massage it. And most of the times, 9 times out of 10, it's always worked for me.
Now, before protection, you want to make sure it's completely dry. If you don't have anything to aid you with the drying process, like a heat gun or a hair dryer, just simply go on to something else and let it dry completely before you lay down the protection. Okay, it's not always easy to tell when the leather is outside of the vehicle, because if it was in the vehicle, we would know the year, the make, the model, how old it is. But looking at the leather, it looks aged. So
Absolutely.
we have the conditioner and we have the blocker, then which way would you go about?
So I would, if it's beyond 3 years, and as long as you know it's genuine leather, which obviously I can feel and touch, and yes, it is genuine leather, I would first apply the conditioner, allow it to penetrate, ideally overnight. So ideally, once I apply the conditioner, I want to give it 24 hours. But if you can't give it that much time, give it, allow it to penetrate for whatever time that's whatever is feasible for you. So if you've got 2 hours where you can leave it and let it penetrate, then that's better than nothing.
Right.
Right? So in this case, you know, we've got about 20 odd minutes or half an hour. That's still better than nothing. And the way you'd apply it is you just spray directly onto the microfiber. Literally just apply it in circular motions, right?
Looks like a little bit goes a long way.
Yes. You don't need a huge amount of product to really make a difference to it. And especially with leather, if you apply too much, does not mean you're getting a lot more benefit. Applying a small amount, but you know, applying it regularly makes a huge amount of difference in my experience. And again, work on sort of one panel at a time. And as you can see, even the conditioner that we're applying, it's not leaving an enormous amount of gloss, which a lot of people don't like, of course, with car seats.
No, and I'm not a huge fan either. And the longer it sits, the more of a natural look that it turns into. And if you wanted to, I mean, you can knock it back with a microfiber, a dry
Absolutely,
one.
absolutely. Are you getting any smell there? Are you of the product specifically?
You're asking the wrong person. I lost the sense of smell a long time ago. But believe me, my customers would, they would be the first to alert me if they did.
Yeah, I think yeah, you are. I mean, just doing that and allowing it to sort of penetrate for about 30 minutes even would, if you did that consistently, that is more than enough for leather to just stay soft and supple.
And consistently, after the first treatment.
Yes.
6 months, 3 months?
3 to 6 months, I'd say, depending on use. But I think at most, if it's a daily driver for someone, I'd say do it somewhere between 3 to 4 months, right? Once every 3 to 4 months. If it's a car that you don't drive that often, doing it once every 6 months is still enough.
Okay, say this was from a newer vehicle and we're in the minus territory, the 3 minus. This would be the way to go?
Absolutely.
Show us how to use that one.
There you go. Sure. So the dye friction blocker is a sealant-based product. It's designed to stop dye transfer and friction damage, which are the two main culprits when it comes to brand new leather, right? It's very easy to apply. Again, just spray it directly onto the microfiber.
So compared to a lotion-like product from the conditioner, we have more of a...
The lotion's
thin
much
house.
thicker in terms of viscosity with this one. It's nowhere near that much, but it will improve the touch and feel of the surface as well, right? And you just want to apply it thinly. Don't buff it, just allow it to dry naturally. As it dries, it would leave that protection on there. You could even spray this with an airbrush if you wanted to and dry it with a heat gun. That's my preferred way of applying whenever I do it. Obviously that's...
Gets in the seams a lot better.
Yes, and you just get a more even application, right? But as you can see, it's already dry and it dries very, very quickly, so it doesn't take a huge amount of time for it to dry. And the best part is if you were to just apply the blocker, it adds no gloss to the surface, right? So it does not make the surface shinier, glossier, or anything like that because it's got literally no gloss in the product.
Just a little bit to go. The rest has evened itself out, and as you can see, no gaudy gloss, no slippery, slimy conditioner. And I can tell you, it feels, this is an older, stiffer material, and it definitely feels smoother, more natural, subtle, and I wouldn't mind it in my car. And since we have the other piece of seat, we're going to put them side by side for a 50-50 shot, and you can see the noticeable difference. Okay, before we wrap up the video, if you run into absolutely heavily soiled leather with body oils, suntan lotion, you name it, you know what can get onto a seat. There is something available that has a little bit more oomph to it.
Yeah, so this product here is it's called the Rapid Leather and Vinyl Cleaner Pro. And the reason why we call it Pro is just because it's a higher pH product. Leather generally has a pH of about 4.5 to 5.5. And the plant-based product that we used earlier on this seat here is at a pH of about 6, 5.5 to 6. So it's a very balanced cleaner, and that's ideal for general, regular maintenance cleans. But on something that's very heavily dirty, heavily soiled, and you wanna, you feel that you need a stronger cleaner, that there is an ideal cleaner. But it comes with an empty foam bottle, right? So I'd always recommend do not apply it directly onto the leather. Use the foamer, get some foam onto the brush, and then start cleaning, and then wipe it, and you'll see a phenomenal difference.
Absolutely phenomenal. I'll be adding it to my arsenal. Geist Leather and Car Care. I will have the link down below. Look into it further.